ladies and gentlemen, and all genders outside and in between. Welcome back to Thirsty Work. Season 2 has officially started, and I'm being joined by the wonderful Cadaea, where we talk about content creation and relationship dynamics. Oh, it's Thirsty Work. Hello there, you spectacular specimens of humankind. How are you doing? How's it going? I am your host this evening, Valen Vain. I'll be joining momentarily by the beautiful Soap, who is wonderful and glorious, and we've known each other for a little while now. Without further ado, you spectacular specimens of humankind, let me introduce the glorious guest this evening, the first guest of Season 2, the amazing Soap! Hello, how you doing? How's it going? Are you doing alright? You doing okay?
Yeah, sorry, I was waiting for myself to pop up there. I love that I'm sitting on this very fancy chair.
What can I say? I pull out all the stops for my wonderful guests.
You do treat us.
I certainly try.
This does mean, you can see the adorable cat kind of in the corner.
I can. Although I'm sure that if the cat walks
he'll be
across,
walking past.
That's
all the time.
fine. That's okay. In which case, for those people that are watching the video, will literally see this weird spectral cat just appear and then disappear out of nowhere. Oh, what's going on? What's happening? You know, I love it. But so you're a fantastic content creator. I wanted to start off the second season with content creation and understanding like sex and obviously the sexual dynamics that come with being in the public eye. But it's like content creation is a really weird dynamic because you're in the public eye, but not in the same way that like a celebrity is. Yeah, like
in a very, very small niche area.
Yeah, well, it's that dynamic of almost being connectable, because you are connectable. We're all connected. How long have you been doing? Let's start at the beginning. How long have you been doing content?
Too long.
Good
I
answer.
I started with actual like live streaming on Twitch 2013, 2014, something like that. But before I was on there, I was actually a blogger, and I did fashion blogging.
All right, okay. Intriguing.
Yeah, and I had no semblance of style, so no change there.
Okay, I mean, to be fair, when you say you've got no semblance of style, I am immediately thinking of the Greg's wonderful fashion.
That's my best piece. So yeah, fair.
Classic.
I can see why people may think otherwise. That is the best thing in the I own.
You know, what got you into like fashion and stuff?
I was just kind of I've always been into fashion, but I just find it very difficult to keep to anyone's style. I'm sure that's incredibly relatable to everyone here because there's so many good styles out there. But it was mostly because I wanted to play around with photography and see what I could do there.
Okay.
I didn't get very good at it. Still not very good at it, but I've kept to it. So
surely that's the eyes of the beholder, you know? It really depends.
True, yeah.
You know?
But what I was doing back then was just, but it got me to where I am now. So I'm still grateful for those experiences I had back then.
That's good. And when did you move like from the blogging into more of the like as we understand today content, like the YouTubes, the TikToks, the Twitches, etc.?
Well, I started university. I did a course that was within the School of Computer Science at the university I went to. I started uni, and I was a social butterfly, one of those people that just kind of went from group to group, not really like core group friends. And then by my second year at uni, I had turned into a gamer. I was always into the video games, don't get me wrong, but
Okay.
I very much made that my entire life where it wasn't before. But I love that for myself as well. So I went to uni and I was very much the like, I don't want to say party girl because that's just like the worst term. But I did go out a lot. I did drink a lot.
Yeah.
I had a lot of blackout nights every week.
You're preaching to the choir. I am the pinnacle of party boy. I love it.
It just wasn't really. I don't know. I just kept doing it, but I just felt like it wasn't really me. And then I made these friends from my course, and I was working with them at the university clinic, and they invited me to start going to the LAN parties and join the University Computer Society. And then I just did nothing but video games. And I think towards the end of my uni, it was basically just me playing League of Legends every day.
That is entirely fair. Was that your go-to? Streaming. Was that the vice that got you into the gaming world?
No, to be fair, I did do a lot of variety first, and then I got into League of Legends, and it took me some time to get there because none of my friends are into it for good reason. you know what you did if you're a League of Legends fan.
Okay, all right, okay.
So it took me a while to get into it, and it is a very good and addictive game.
Uh-huh.
But I'm glad that I no longer know life that. I love the variety of it. But like I said, I've always been into video games, but I always grew up with consoles, and I was like a Nintendo girl. Didn't really do any PC gaming until these guys showed me, hey, PC gaming exists. Um, and now my life is ruined in a good way.
And now my life is ruined in the
But
best
yeah,
of
that's
ways.
what obviously showed me into YouTubers, Let's Players, Twitch streamers,
Uh-huh.
and it just kind of rolled on from there. And I was watching a Twitch streamer thinking, hey, I could do that. And I tried, but I was definitely one of those sit and never speak kind of streamers for a very long time.
Oh, really? Okay. So, what,
Yeah,
like,
I
just
was.
ignoring chat, or
Yes,
too enveloped with the
absolutely.
game?
I was playing League of Legends, never speaking to them, very shy, and now I don't shut up.
Which is
So
good. That's a good thing. That's because when it comes to live streaming, especially when you're gaming live streaming, one of the big things that people really struggle with is the dynamics between chat and like gaming themselves.
I wish I had my clips from back then so I could show people you can get a lot better at just chatting. And I could easily just sit and chat to no one for like 2 hours.
It's the
And I
best
do.
thing to do.
So it's just like you can go from being that person who ignores chat entirely, doesn't you never even look at your own content to look at it and be like, wow, I'm boring. But nowadays obviously I do. But back then I just did it and kept I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna hit it big even though I'm never speaking to anyone. And obviously they wouldn't stick around because why would you watch that?
And now look at you.
So now look at me, I never stream.
No, but you're going all
But
over
I'm
the
on I'm
place.
on a break.
You're on
I'm
break.
delving into the YouTube world, which
Okay.
I have tried previously, but again, I my previous journeys into very much a what like there's no I was putting out videos that very much why would anyone watch that? And I'm not trying to be rude. Like it's just very you have to think in a way. You kind of got to build an audience over there first, and then you can start
It's very different
building those
dynamic
relationships.
because
Yeah.
when
I can't just
YouTube,
start putting out like these
no.
weekly vlogs and expecting people to care who I am.
No, well, it was interesting because, like, obviously, when YouTube first came around, people were just doing that, and because they were the first people doing it, they were the ones that,
Mm, it stood out. It
yeah,
was a rare thing, and
exactly.
it was yeah, it was fun to watch.
Whereas now we're sat there making scripts and rewriting them and making bullet points and doing all the extra bits and pieces. You know,
And it's very challenging for me specifically as a primarily TikTok creator to make anything that's over 30 seconds. So I'm
and
trying.
but then saying that, I'm the first person to say that your TikToks are the way that TikTok should be done. Like, it's quick, it's decisive, it's in your face, and it tells you exactly what you need within 30 seconds, and then it's done, and you're like, right, cool, this is it. This is all I need from this entire scenario. Here's a tidbit of information. It's like a headline and the first couple of lines of an article, and that's it. That's cool. Enough to pique my interest to look into something new, you know? Speaking of
Excellent.
TikTok,
I'll
though,
take that.
have you, because obviously this is a sex education podcast and stuff like that, what has been your dynamic of, because obviously there is the entire, this is Women's History Month when we're recording this. Anyway, it's only just been International Women's Day. And there is always the rhetoric of women have it easier in content. How has your experience been of women have it easier in content?
I am usually the first person to say women don't have it easier. I'm not going to sit here and say any gender has it easier. But now I fully believe that women do have it a lot harder
Okay.
than a lot of groups, specific groups that I can think of that I won't name people or name names or anything.
Okay.
I'm just getting so tired of having the same conversation to the point where recently I did a sponsored video of Logitech because I'm a Logitech creator at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
If you're watching this in a few years' time and they've dropped me for some reason, that's sad. Anyway, right now I'm sponsored by Logitech. I love Logitech. And I did a video with them about how it has, in terms of tools and in terms of information that's out there, it's never been easier to get started with content creation. And I firmly believe that.
It's true. No,
I didn't
agreed.
say it's easier to succeed because no, that's going to be on a whole lot of things, including a lot on yourself and how, you know, reach an audience, what kind of content you're putting out there. A lot of it you can control, some of it you can't. I'm happy to agree with that, but a lot of it you can
Yeah.
control. So it's not easier to succeed. Obviously, a lot of competition out there. I don't like seeing them as a competition, but oversaturation maybe is a better word.
Yeah.
But it's never been easy. Like we got better tools, we got better information, better. There's stuff out there, tutorials that we didn't have 10 years ago, and everyone not only got angry at me in the comments of that video that I posted on TikTok. They got angry saying that it's not easier, because they thought I said that it was easier. I didn't, but that's how the internet be sometimes. But they also turned it in. I never said anything about gender, but of course they turned it into a gender thing. A lot of people were commenting saying, of course you succeeded. You're a cute girl," or this and that.
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, but women have it easier." "Oh, step one to success: be a woman." It's because a lot of people are very close-minded, and they only see success in terms of, I guess, money. And again, we're in a
Um.
capitalistic world. We are.
Yeah.
So, but they see it in terms of like money, maybe power in there as well. So they don't consider things like the additional abuse and the danger that a lot of women tend to like when you compare like the female experience compared to, for example, my partner. He's also a content creator. My
Hmm.
experiences compared to him, he has had a lot of parasocial experiences. He's a much bigger streamer than I am, but never has he felt in danger in the same way that I have, and his experiences are not nearly as severe as mine. They forget about. Can you see him on the screen?
Yeah.
They
Little
forget
cat.
about like the abuse, the additional harassment for just existing as a woman with a female voice.
Hmm.
There's nothing that you can do is right. It doesn't matter what you wear. It doesn't matter how much makeup you wear. And yeah, beauty standards they apply to everyone, but obviously they are.
For those listeners,
Do you want to say something?
there's Soap's cat is just directly in front of the camera, yawning at us as if like literally as if giving a commentary, just being like, "This is not what you are talking about." Good
I'm
lord.
trying to have a serious point here, little one. It's just basically they forget about all the additional stuff that makes it more difficult, and they don't realize this is the thing that gets me the most. They don't realize they're proving solid examples right there and then of how it's difficult to be a female content creator because we always have to prove ourselves. Nothing we ever do is like good enough as it is. We don't get that like base level of respect. We always have to fight our corner and defend our position to start with.
They
Not
did
even
a
like doesn't matter what's beyond that.
they did a Valorant, I believe, did a social experiment recently about it, where they had cis male gamers who came on and had a voice modifier to turn them up a few octaves so that they sounded very feminine, and just to experience what it's like as a gamer playing something like Valorant. And they were shocked at the amount of abuse just for saying hi.
I will get a lot of hate for this, but I don't speak in video games. I don't ever speak in video games. I consider myself a very confident person at this
Hmm.
point. I can chat to anyone. I do it on stream, obviously, but I just can't be bothered to invite that attitude into my life. And I know it's not me inviting it. That's poor choice of words. It's just I don't want to have to deal with that. Video
Yeah.
games are my fun, my relaxation. It hinders me because I play games, FPS games. I play Rainbow Six Siege,
Hmm.
and it does hinder me not speaking on comms, and people get annoyed about it. But until it feels like a place where I can just speak on comms and play the game like any cisgender man can do, like without immediately getting hurled abuse. Like I would love to play a video game and them just get angry at me for how bad I play.
Yeah.
Like not because I'm a woman, just because I'm a bad player. That'd be
Well,
great. I
this
don't
this was
mind
the
that.
interesting thing. One of the experiments, like I can't remember the exact numbers, but they were saying that they did it so that the player played with their own voice for the first like few battles. I think it was like 4 battles each way. They did 4 battles as with their own voice, and then 4 battles without, and then they were leading like 16 kills to 2 deaths or whatever. And then they went out as soon as they had the more feminine voice exchange. They were losing like 12 deaths to 1 kill or something. The kill death ratio was appalling, and it literally came down to the fact that their teammates were abandoning them. The teammates were, "Oh no, we're not gonna fuck you. You're a woman, so why would we back you up? Go back to the kitchen." All that usual sexism stuff that we hear a lot about, and I always question because obviously the only thing we're ever going to hear is bad news, and I wonder whether it's different and what have you. But like this experiment was really eye-opening in that regard, like just the sheer sexism, and that's, I mean,
And that's honestly, yeah, that's just one side of it, and that's
yeah,
what all the gamers will experience. And then as a content creator, you got the other side of things, especially if you choose to show yourself. As I said, like you're constantly being ripped apart. Like if you do wear makeup, don't wear makeup, wear the right clothes, don't wear the right clothes, and the blame is always on the woman.
Yeah.
always on the woman, and it just gets me, especially like things like hot tub streamers who there's nothing. It's allowed. It's part of the
Hmm.
rules. It's within terms of service.
Yeah.
You're allowed to do hot tub streams. You're allowed to wear bikinis, but doing it as a woman and let's be honest, the negative comments they come from as that it's not coming from it is coming from some women, but not all women.
Hmm.
The majority of those comments are coming from men who simply don't respect them because of what they're doing and they don't
Yeah.
agree with it. And it's weird to see the difference in like there was all that stuff about gambling on Twitch recently,
Yep.
and the
Yeah.
people that were doing gambling on Twitch or anything touching on gambling, and then it became like against terms of service, but they're never treated as badly as these women who are doing things within terms of service.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's
100%.
always they're always the, like, example of a bad streamer on Twitch, even though it's perfectly fine and acceptable. It makes no sense to me.
It's really baffling, and I think maybe because of the fact that I'm first of all a cisgendered white man, the people come in and ask my opinions on stuff. What do you think about when the hot tub streams came around? I was like, what do you think about the hot tub streams? What do you think about? And I was like, I don't care. Good on them. That's great. Then there was like controversies. Oh, they're taking away viewers from other streamers, and I'm like, are they? Maybe you should make more interesting content then. Like what if the kind of people that are gonna go and watch hot tub streams are the people that are interested in hot tub streams. If you're sat playing Valorant, it's an entirely different genre of thing, and you can't like I find the hypocrisy hilarious that people would turn around and just be like, oh, I'm losing streamers. I find it very interesting in the content creation world how easy it is for people to blame everything on other people. Than
My go-to response towards anything to do with hot tub streamers especially, because it always comes down to the fact that they're upset that they sexualize a woman's body by default. And maybe I don't know. I'm not saying anything about the hot tub streamer. Just example a hot tub streamer that happens to be a cisgender female, femme presenting, and
Mhm.
so forth. These people are the first to dole out, "Oh no, they're terrible people. Oh no, that they're, think of the children." Even though Twitch has rules about what children are allowed on here and what
Mhm.
they're allowed to watch. But anyway, ignoring that point, they're always the first to be angry about it, but they're never the first to like take charge of the conversation about how we, stop sexualizing femme presenting bodies as standard by default.
Yeah.
Because if we stopped doing that, then you wouldn't be so upset.
Yeah, that easy to complain, but no, not bringing the solution, and I
Mm.
completely understand that. I get like because the answer is well, all right. If this is your disagreement, what's the answer? Like, what's the
What are you
situation?
doing about it other
What are you
than
doing
just
about it? Yeah,
complaining?
exactly.
Because if they hate them so much, because it always sounds that way,
Hmm.
if they hate them so much, and you're upset that there are people who want to watch that kind of content, you're upset about it. Yeah, start that conversation to stop sexualizing those types of bodies as standard, and then maybe those people will be. They probably still want that, but you know what I mean. Like
Yeah,
generally across the board, the standard will be not to see those bodies as like sexual by default.
but this is also the thing. It's like I suppose it comes down to that further conversation of like if a cisgender woman decides to dress themselves in a bikini and sit in a hot tub. Because I remember like the way they originally got around it. Because the terms of service, being a sex educator, I have to be very clued up on the Twitch terms of service. And the terms of service were a grey area when it all kicked off. And it
Mhm.
basically came down to you couldn't wear like underwear, you couldn't wear a bikini unless it was topic appropriate. So
Oh,
if
you
you
would
could
if the context was correct,
yes,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. If the context was right. So if you were at a beach, they weren't going to condemn you. They basically weren't going to ban you for there being bikinis behind you, etc. And then
Mhm.
one streamer, I can't remember who started it off, but I remember it took over very, very quickly. Basically went, oh, well, I own a hot tub, so I'm just going to go sit in my hot tub wearing this tiny bikini. And everyone was like, the scandal. And then there was loads of content creators who do go for that kind of content. And again, nothing wrong with that kind of content. It's up to Twitch to decide what is okay and what is not okay. And if Twitch say it's all right, then that's fine. Who just went, you know what, this is a great idea. I'm going to do the same thing. And good on them. Fair enough. They found a system that Twitch was okay with, that they could jump on board and use to their own benefit. Fantastic, good on them. But it
And
is that.
essentially, I'm happy that people can create the kind of content they want to create. As
Mhm.
long as it's within terms of service, I don't care. I
Yeah.
think we can all agree that obviously terms of service needs to be, enforced a bit better.
I think
But
terms of service needs to be clearer, and I think
yes, that too. Clearer and better, like, I don't know. We need more forums to be able to ask questions because, as you said, there's a lot of gray areas in there, and it would be a lot. Like, I'm not going to speak too much about Twitch in general, but
no.
I've been a Twitch partner for 1 or 2 years. I can't remember.
Mhm.
I don't have a Twitch partner manager. If I have feedback, I don't know who I'd reach out to.
No.
There's not really anything there. And they used to do these Twitch summits. I think they had one in London. They haven't had one since I was a partner, or at least I've not been invited to it. But
Mhm.
it's just there's so few forums for even partners. And I know partners aren't everything on this website. There's loads of creators on here. We all deserve to be able to speak and understand what's going on the platform and the terms of service, so we are meeting those terms of service and not getting any surprises later down the line.
Yeah, I mean they have done specifically regarding Twitch. I can't speak for other platforms because I know that they are changing them constantly. But Twitch's latest version of terms of service has been really good, and it's been far more inclusive. And they've definitely highlighted them as sort of guidelines more than like specific. Because one of the problems that they did have was the fact it was like, okay, this is the tick box if you tick this specific box, and therefore there was loads of loopholes. But
Mm.
either way around it, like you do get all of that. And I think the other thing that I think as a man that I find so frustrating is the fact that nobody will compare me to, as a cisgendered man, to like an Apex streamer, but women get compared all the time to hot tub streamers, even if they're nothing to do with hot tubs at all. Like they've never expressed an interest. It's not something they're on about. They're a gamer. They're interested in playing the games or whatever. And it's like, oh well, hot tub streamer. Meh, 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 meh.
I fully understand that point, but I also would not care. But obviously,
Yeah.
how some people do. So I think we're both in agreement that it shouldn't matter.
No, it
But
definitely shouldn't.
also, they do obviously treat a lot of women with very little respect, especially if they engage in certain types of content and if they're not a real gamer by their standards.
Mhm.
Because a lot of them still believe that Twitch is solely a gaming live streaming website, even though they haven't marketed themselves that way for about 7 years or so.
Definitely not for the past 4, because I've been on
Mm.
it doing. I remember when I first started, it was just chatting shit to a camera for a couple of hours. That was basically it. But so, all right, let's take it to the next level, which I find interesting. Earlier on, you mentioned your partner and said how he'd had experiences with parasocial relationships, which for those people that might be listening and not sure what parasocial relationship is, it's when somebody gets a sort of like a more invested fixation with, say, a content creator or somebody that they're in communication with. Usually happens in content world, and the idea is that they think they're much better friends or much more likely to have a relationship or what have you than is actually the truth. So,
But not also just friendship, because the ones that
Mhm.
he gets, because he's in the roleplay world, people get very invested in the characters and the streamers, and they really are disgusting towards the people that do roleplay. I could never get into that
Oh
world.
really?
But it's they project these one-way relationships onto them, and then they say that, oh, like they call certain streamers self-inserts, when really all the role players are playing characters. That's the whole point. So
Hmm.
these people act like they know all these streamers. It's not necessarily friends. Sometimes they're people that really hate these streamers purely because they think the streamer is the character and there's no separation. But there is a separation, and the viewer does not realize that all the people tend to be friends. They're just playing characters. It's like actors in a TV show.
Yeah, but then
It's
saying that,
really
that's been a
bizarre.
thing for actors, hasn't it? Where
Mm.
actors have received, despite the fact they're playing a part, you're playing a villain or what have you, and they've received death threats and
And
God
people
knows what
can't
else.
separate it for
Yeah,
some reason.
which is mind-boggling to me that that's the
Mm.
case. But have you, like, in your experience, because I know that I get a fair share of toxicity and parasocial relationships, and I'm also aware that like the way that I deal with trolls on my channel is by flirting with them, and I'm also aware that that isn't something that the reason why I can do that is because I'm a cisgendered man. You try and do that as any other gender, you're not. It's not going to fucking work. It'll backfire horribly.
I could put myself in a potentially dangerous situation.
Hmm.
So I go more down the making fun of them.
Which is entirely fair. Which is entirely fair. Somebody comes in to troll or bully or
You're gonna blow off some steam. You're just
Mhm.
gonna. I don't want to say rip them a new one. I'm quite direct and stern with them in making fun of them, and I've got better at just immediately shutting it down. I
Mhm.
used to be a lot more polite in camera and not wanting to like they're a new viewer. I don't want to scare them off. No, I don't care nowadays. I don't want those kinds of people as a viewer because I've had so many instances where it's just not just the odd person that comes in and immediately tries to befriend me or like very quickly tries to do that because they don't know that I'm going to shut them down or anything. I've had people who are like regulars who watch my stream for years, and we talk even in like DMs and stuff because sometimes you do that community, and I've had to do that less and less and less because of these experiences where someone who has seen me talk about parasocial relationships to death and then tried to ask me out for a drink, and I was just like, "Are you
Oh
kidding me?
wow, no way.
I don't know. Like, I may know that you come to all my streams and you've been doing it for years. I don't know your name. I don't know what you look like. You know everything about me. You know so much about me through my streams. How do you not see how inappropriate it is given the topics that I cover?" That was when it was a real like I've had little instances, but that was really the one that like punched me right in the face. I was like, I'm never again. I now barely DM people that I don't know or trust.
Oh wow. So it's literally that severe, just the entire dynamics of you it's not worth the risk.
Yes, and sometimes I'm generally quite like blunt and short with people anyway. I think that's kind of like autism side of my brain.
Hmm.
So I know that I'm like that. I lack empathy, but I'm even more harsh, and I'm so quick to say I'm not comfortable discussing this. Why are you asking me this? A lot of the time I say if you're not comfortable like saying it in my Discord with everyone else, it's probably not a conversation for me either, unless it's like them reporting someone else. 'Cause I've had people where I do have a kind of like a dating section in my Discord, which is typically more about like dating advice as opposed to finding dates. It's not about
Okay.
that. It's not like a setting people up. It's more just talking about anything to do with relationships, love life, sex, anything
Yeah.
that they'd want other people's opinions on, and you need to address it as an adult. It's in the rules. Um, but I've had people try and like DM me separately about things, and I say, no, you've got to put it in there, otherwise I'm not interested in speaking to you about this. Or you can do it on stream as well. I can have the conversation there. I just want to protect myself and not bring it into DM so you think there's a relationship.
Yeah, keep that wall there because
Hmm.
it's a weird thing of them sort of backing you up the entire way and then being like, oh well, now I've backed you up the entire way. This is obviously the segment where we were getting somewhere, you know. Wow. I mean, I've had a fair share, but I always dread to think what it's like to for
I
people that aren't cisgendered men. Do you know what I mean?
can
Like,
understand, yeah, but you keep pointing out that you are a cisgender men, but also the topics that you cover. And again, I don't want to say that you invite that kind of conversation,
mhm,
but it's likely that you're going to have people that take the piss because sometimes you go into things that are sensitive topics,
mhm,
and immediately they feel more comfortable with that. So they feel more comfortable with you because you're, oh, this is a
yeah.
person, this is a safe person I can have that conversation with, and then they think that they can keep doing that and take it out. Whereas I tend to cover sensitive topics and then just kind of say, you're not coming to me separately about it. I'll say it here on stream, but that's it.
Which is entirely fair. Like I've never really
Mm.
considered it like that. To be fair, I suppose I do talk about a lot of sensitive topics. I don't know. I just like having conversations, and
People will
then
see you as like a safe pair of hands, which is lovely in one respect, but also you still also have to have those boundaries.
yeah. And I would like to think, and maybe my community can confirm or not. I would like to think that I'm quite clear with my boundaries. I'm quite like this is appropriate, this is not appropriate. But I'm also very well aware that the reason why I do that is because I'm a very confident individual, and I know that that isn't always the case. It can get quite nerve
Oh,
wracking.
yeah. That's an excellent point. I feel like I've been doing this long enough that I've grown the confidence compared to, back in the day when I wouldn't
Mhm.
say anything. You're definitely someone who has always been very much confident, set those boundaries. If you're coming into it and you're like a new content creator, new streamer, it's so difficult. And you do really feel like you have to be nice to people who want to succeed. You don't. I mean, it's always good to be nice, but
Yeah.
if someone is trying to take advantage of that, nice. You need to get good at shutting it down. That's probably one of the first like things I would say you should learn how to do.
Hmm. Oh, and I think it's really important to learn that early on, because the sooner, if you let it run, the longer you let it run, the more likely it is to be harder to remove.
Mm.
And it's easier to cut it out early than continue on with like a toxic dynamic in your, because that sort of parasocial dynamic, especially when someone feels that they genuinely do have some description of connection with you, does end up being a, I don't know, a catalyst, because then they start feeling protective over you and start pushing out other people in the community because
Yeah.
they feel they have some description of, I don't know, pseudo ownership over the dynamic. I've seen it happen with quite a few other
I've had many
creators.
mods.
Yeah. Oh god,
uh,
yeah.
uh,
And yeah.
multiple. uh, where it's just like, I thought they were friends. No, you got to be careful with everyone.
Oh lord, what moderators as well, Jesus.
Mm,
I suppose that's the
yeah,
dynamic of, oh, they trust me now. This is great. We're now
yeah.
friends
And some
on.
of them did become friends, but
Mhm.
then it just they became very quickly not nice and not friends and very, yeah, as you said with the ownership thing, that was very much a like, this is my friend, this is my streamer, like, and then they could do anything, they were above the rules, which obviously they weren't, and they didn't like it when I told them that.
Oh yeah, nipping that in the bud.
Mm.
And oh wow, yeah, I can only imagine. Oh, I mean, okay, let's push that to a side for a moment. You said you've got a partner who's also a streamer. Did you meet through content?
Um, I guess. So we were mutuals on Twitter for a very long time. And again, you may be watching this in or listening to this in many, many years, and maybe we're not together. Hopefully we are. I don't know. But yeah, I met him because mutuals on Twitter for ages. And at the beginning of, I think, last year, I
Hmm.
said that I wanted to do creative meetups, which I did quite a few. And he reached out to me and said that he wanted to come to them because not too far from London.
Amazing.
So just to make sure before like anything else happened, I was like, we can meet up with one of our mutual friends, go for Korean barbecue. Just because I was on a whole streak of being social as well, I was like, fuck it, let's just go for Korean barbecue.
I
Um,
approve.
and then our mutual friend got sick, so we basically ended up going just the two of us. And I was just trying to check that they were not an axe wielding murderer, and they are not. But I
Wise.
will say, I'm it's difficult because I do have a full-time job as well as doing the content creation thing, which takes up a lot of time. So it's very difficult to meet people. And I know you're talking about this specific partner, but I have dated a lot of partners, a lot of people who are also content creators because, it's hard to meet people.
Yeah, yeah.
Most of the new people that I meet are friends or friends of content creators or other content creators. And it just keeps happening,
I mean, to be fair,
which
it is.
obviously has its good and bad points.
Yeah, there's definitely like mutual interest there, which like you
It's
can.
nice to not feel patronized because they get it.
Yeah,
They get it.
yeah,
They're not
yeah,
going to be insulted if I'm like, no, I have a TikTok video I have to make tonight. Obviously,
yeah.
I've dated other people who would be just not so nice about that.
Because
But content creators tend to get it.
content is definitely an industry of passion. You have to have the passion for it, which
Mhm.
is quite unique in the way that it works. But yeah, it's always better. Like, well, it's always useful to have somebody who understands it. Well, even if they're not in the world of content, they understand the world of content enough to know that you are going to have certain pressures, certain times, work really odd hours,
Mhm. And
etc.
not just with the content as well, because specifically a lot of it is gaming. People who
Hmm.
are just going to respect the fact that you're gaming, and sometimes you're going
Hmm.
to a gaming related event and they see that as fun. And whilst it is fun, it's still work. And sometimes playing a game is work, and it's just knowing that difference.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I don't play games. Oh, yeah, actually, to be fair, I don't play games. Maybe it's because I'm a work addict. I'm like, is this going to be beneficial? Can I actually talk about this in the future? Is this something that I can play offline but do a review of, or something like that? It's always at the forefront of my mind in that regard. But so the question that I was more intrigued by, because I've seen so much drama over the internet for years and years and years, was there ever situations where you being in a relationship and openly in a relationship to your community that caused friction or controversies because people, even if they weren't like parasocial themselves, there was like a dynamic in there that they were interested in you because you were a single person, a single woman on the internet? etc.
Um, Actually, I should talk about. I'm not gonna say who. It's not
Okay.
not drama stream. My last long-term relationship
Hmm.
before the person I'm currently dating, they were on a different platform, so they weren't on Twitch, but they were quite a big creator on another platform, and their whole thing was I wasn't even like we dated for 16 months. I wasn't allowed to say that I was dating anyone.
Okay.
Which is you know full well if it ever came out, I would get the blame.
Yeah.
They would say that, "Oh, you were just pretending to be single this whole time." I wasn't allowed to say that I was dating them, which people are gonna make up their minds immediately, but I promise you there was I mean, it's not up to me to say whether or not it's valid, but there was some trauma attached to it, and I
Hmm.
understood why. It wasn't they were trying to keep me a secret, it wasn't anything, like, really awful that I'm making it sound like. There was a reason, and I respect that reason. But I don't respect the fact that I was not allowed to say that I was dating someone,
Yeah, I can
which is,
understand that. No, because this is the thing, as
yeah,
I do
so
get it. Like,
which means I had
even
to go for so long dating someone, and then people would come in. I basically begged him multiple times, to just say, "Let me just say that I'm dating someone, so I can just get these people to shut up."
okay, yeah, that
Sorry,
makes
that's what
sense.
I mean. I'd have people like obviously when I'm single it still happens and I would just make something up. But I didn't want to make my partner at the time feel uncomfortable, obviously, because they were
Yeah,
my partner. So it was just a very awkward thing because that's the only time where I've not been able to like I don't even have the option to lie because I don't want to make them feel uncomfortable.
yeah, no, I completely get that. But it's one of those things, and I've weighed it up in my mind many times across the years that I've been in content. Is the dynamic of what is okay to say, because there's
Mhm.
also an element of, well, it's nobody else's business.
I made the mistake with the relationship before that, to just they were part of my content essentially,
Okay,
and I was not they were not only like a regular character in my content and someone that essentially lived in mine and didn't do anything or pay for anything and just
classic,
lived off me.
classic.
And then they were like yeah, so they were a character in my content, but also they were a full-time creator, and I also did most of like the improvements to their content essentially and had
Okay,
to write all their emails, made their media kit. Don't e I'm a terrible person. I just you know when you want your partner to succeed, so I kept
yeah,
thinking of it as like our successes, which is terrible because when I started putting that like, you know, time and investment into myself, my content went a lot better, but that's a whole other story.
yeah.
Basically, back to I've had two very separate long-term relationships where one I'm not allowed to say anything, one where they were just a character on my stream and they ended up being an absolutely horrible person and I have a lot of trauma from that that I won't delve into, but I've had both the experiences and now I want that happy medium where whilst I'm dating a content creator right now and I like that I can say that I'm dating them because I protect myself from those people who are
Always
like
good. Yeah.
yeah I could say no I'm dating someone shoo it's a lot easier and I hate that that's a lot easier. I should be able to just say stop that, but people don't respect a no.
No, of
um
course.
so I'm now trying to find that happy medium where it's like I'm dating this person, but and then they've been on my streams, they've been
Yeah.
on like my social media, but I don't want them to be like not like a main character, but someone who's in it essentially like every day, and we're always
Yeah.
playing games together and stuff like that. I don't want to delve into his world of role play. I
Hmm.
don't want him to come over here and play I chat most of the time, so
Yeah.
he's not even on TikTok anyway, so,
Have
yeah, it's
either
nice
of
that we have that
yeah,
separation.
have either of you received any? Because this is something that I'm always aware of,
Mhm.
probably because of the fact that I've had some questionable scenarios of like people finding where I live and stuff like that. Is there ever been like a security issue in regards to like threats or you're not good enough for them or anything like that that you've got in any of the dynamics?
Um, well, his like,
You
I've
don't have
had
to say
it
it.
before in this no, this just trying to figure out how to word it
Yeah.
because remember I got most of that kind of thing from Twitch streams and because I've kind of slowed down on the streaming side of things, I don't really get that on TikTok so much, which
Hmm.
is good.
That's good. Good. Yeah.
They can
Yeah.
be very mean, but they're not like that at least. I've had instances of those like very dangerous threats and people doxing me and stuff like that, but not anything to do with current partner. The only instance I can think of, which is quite funny, it's not necessarily someone being like, "Oh, they're not good enough," or anything like that. It is someone did I was in their Twitch chat the other day, and
Mhm.
some randomer said they called me a gold digger because I asked my partner to buy me McDonald's chicken nuggets. He didn't buy me them, but I asked him to buy me chicken nuggets, and I got called a gold digger. And I'm only with him because I'm clearly only with him because of money. I can't
Heaven
possibly be
forfend.
successful in my own right.
Heaven
It's not like I
forfend you
don't have
dare.
like my own platforms and my own
Wow.
like
Wow.
flat in Greater London. It was just the most bizarre thing.
That is, yeah, that especially of all things, like for chicken nuggets, that's next level.
Mm.
I'm surprised. Like,
I've had other people as well. Like, I told you about the parasocial thing.
yeah, yeah.
I've had someone accuse because a lot of people don't like my partner, which is fine. They have their reasons. Not really up to me, whatever. Because I think that again, he's his character, and
Okay.
the stream side is all he could possibly be. And yeah, I've had people accuse me of doing things like metagaming is a really awful thing in role play, and
Hmm.
um, they accuse me of going into other people's streams and then feeding information back to him privately. I don't know half of the streamers that he plays with because obviously he plays with the characters.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
who's playing those characters.
yeah, yeah.
I think they really think that I know things when really I just have him on as background noise and occasionally I ask for chicken nuggets.
And realistically speaking, as well, like if he was a good role player, which I assume he is, I've not seen his role play content, but I know he's very popular. Um, then he would tell you not to do that.
It's
You know what
against
I
the
mean?
rules. He
Like
would not want me to do it,
it
and he
would
does not
be,
do it. But yeah,
dude.
it's people say that I do it, and I'm just like, huh?
That
Only like
is.
one person, but I couldn't believe it when I found out.
It's just that dynamic of, I suppose it's still that dynamic of this person isn't good enough for this person. Because this is the thing,
Mm,
going into that parasocial, even on like the smaller end of the lower end of the parasocial dynamics, like people have an opinion of a person and a content creator, the kind of person that they've connected with across however long, um, and they will have an opinion of whoever gets with them, whether they're worth that. Like we're all on
yeah,
some description of spectrum, and that you get to know the ins and outs of all our relationships, and it just what?
yeah. I'm fortunate that I just haven't done James really, so I'm not getting on my side. But then on his side, it's just because people know that he earned a good amount of money from taking the Facebook deal
Mhm.
that some streamers took. So a lot of people immediately assume I'm with him for the money, when really it's for the constant chicken nugget supply.
The constant shit. I mean,
It's not
realistically
even.
speaking, who needs gold nuggets when you got chicken nuggets, right? Wow, that's amazing. I mean, one thing that I realized that we're cutting towards the end of it now, but one thing I did want to quickly touch on
Mm.
because it baffled me when I first discovered this was the fact that you have what's it, face
Face
forgetfulness,
blindness.
face
I think it's
blindness.
face blindness or a type of it because I think there is different types. What I have specifically is I can't picture faces. If
Hmm.
I were to like right now, you asked me to picture my partner. I can't do it. Um, picture my family. I've known them my entire life, but no, I can't. I can't picture faces. I can kind of like picture photos of people, and I can kind of picture like them, but not their face. It's kind of I don't know how to. It's really difficult to convey to other people because obviously you'll never really understand it. How I could possibly know who someone is
No.
when I can't really process faces very well even. So like I look at someone in real life and I can't. It takes me a lot longer to process their face, but I normally have other tells that kind of um give it away for me
Yeah.
essentially, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can some people it's a lot quicker for me to realize, some people it's not, and I'm a bit like not so warm at first, and then I get into it as I like start to get that familiarity back. But yeah, it's just a case of I can't picture faces. I don't imagine faces. My memories don't have faces. My memories tend to operate, and I don't know if this is the same for everyone. I always ask this when I remember things, it's more about how I felt in that moment rather than anything visual person kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I know because I remember years ago that when I first discovered it, because I'm a very visual person. When someone says visualize a mountain
Oh,
stream,
I can do objects and yeah,
okay,
I could
that's
make up a
interesting.
mountain stream. It's kind of like a really bad AI bot up there. Can't do people.
Can't do
Like a
people, but can do mountain
nature
streams.
shot. Let's go. But
Love that.
again, I guess it's kind of yeah. I don't really know how to describe it. And again, it's something really difficult. And I think the question you were going to go on to is like how that affects people,
It certainly was.
especially people I have been in relationships with.
Hmm.
And the part that's coming out of my brain right now is the fact that I just wanted to go back to the familiarity thing. Most of the time, I have to familiarize myself, and I will be, and it's hard for them to get used to. I will be very like logically, I know who you are, but I'm not, like, immediately, like, soft and cuddly and just like, "Oh, yeah, you're my person," because I have to get into that, and it's really difficult for people that I date when I, like, haven't seen him for a week and I say, "I don't remember you," and then I see them and it's just like, "Okay, give me some time."
So how quickly is that? Is it like as soon as you say you went on a
It
date with somebody, and as soon as you leave the date, the restaurant or whatever, you can't remember their features?
Oh, I would not yeah, absolutely would not remember their features at that point, no.
Oh
Even
wow,
like,
okay.
it's even to the point my current partner, we've been together for, like, exclusively, we've been together since June last year,
Hmm.
and it very much if I haven't had enough sleep or if I'm very stressed, obviously, like, my brain doesn't function to its top performance,
Yeah.
so I tend to forget things a little bit quicker. I've always had, like, severe memory issues to go with it, thank you, brain, um, but, like, if I have a very stressful week, for example, and I haven't seen him the entire week, I won't remember him, I won't be able to picture him. I can remember how he makes me feel, and I can remember things about him, but, like, I can't picture his face, and when I see him again, I'm just like, "Oh, I've been looking forward to seeing you, but, you know, I don't really recognize you yet, so give it some time." And again,
That's
it's very
interesting.
hard for them to hear their partner of many, many months or years to say, "I don't remember you." Although it's
Yeah.
very good when you're trying to get over someone.
Oh, I can imagine. I can imagine. Have you ever had, and this is only because my mind tends to go to all kinds of peculiar places, but is there ever been situations where you have like mistaken somebody, or somebody's like said that they were somebody that they weren't?
Um I think I come off really bad in a lot of social situations where if it's someone I don't know them very well, so no one would be able to come up to me now and be like, "Oh, I'm your partner."
Yeah.
That wouldn't work because again, it's that logical thing. Like I can see the tells, and I'm just like, okay, logically I know this person, but that warmth isn't there yet.
Mm-hmm.
And it will come. It doesn't take too long, like a few hours, and I'm just like, oh yeah, okay, back to normal. Okay, I feel comfortable now.
Oh,
But
that's good.
I get a lot of my anxiety when I go to events, for example, especially with other content creators, especially content creators I haven't met so much, or even people from community that
Mm-hmm.
I may have never met or haven't met so much. I tend to never introduce myself because I'm so worried about introducing myself to someone I've already met. That is something that happens a lot, and I really hate that because I look like such a dickhead. So I never introduce myself. And you'll also notice I'll never introduce other people to each other as well because I don't know. um,
I mean, I don't have
and
like
I've
face
never really
blindness,
had
but I still do that as well.
mistaken never really had, like, a mistaken identity
Uh-huh.
type situation,
Oh,
but I
that's
think
good.
that might be because of the type of people that I'm around who I don't think anyone would do that.
That's good. It means you've surrounded yourself, even though you don't have that like face recognition, you've still surrounded yourself with people that are trustworthy.
Mm, yeah, pretty much every event I will try and find my people that I know quite well.
That's
So,
really because I
that makes it a
remember,
lot easier.
yeah, meeting you the first time. Well, obviously we knew each other very vaguely through other people's streams and like community stuff, but we only really met each other at well TwitchCon EU really. When you gave me, I've still got it somewhere. Oh, there it is.
The
My little
little token.
token, a little token of friendship because we went to like an arcade place and Soap was like, have a
It was the
token.
same
I was like,
situation there where it's just like, tells, I know that you logically, you're Valen Vain. But then I don't have that, "Oh, this is a comfortable person, this is someone in my little, like, safe circle of people
hmm
I know that I can chat to, and I don't need to, like, put my guard up too much." Obviously, I'm always gonna have some, like, boundary there, but you know what I mean? Where it's just like, you have these people that you know online, you may not have met them yet, or you may not have
hmm
met them for extended periods of time. So, um, you don't know how to feel about them just yet, but I know that you were in my little safe circle, but it's just like, I still don't have that warmth.
no,
And I still probably I feel a bit like, I don't know, weird, and I don't know if you saw me at all on the it was only a 2-day event, like,
It was.
the second day of TwitchCon, where I was just so, like, because of everything that weekend, I was so overwhelmed. I was running around because my partner didn't get a ticket to the event, um, I was in the event, and I had loads of people that I could have easily gone and attached myself to, but
Yeah.
I wanted to get around the event, make sure that I saw everything because I was getting very worried about not seeing everything and not seeing everyone. But anyone that saw me that day, like I ran into Rage Darling, who I've met so many times, Bailey, and I know him very well, and they could see that the whole second day, I was just completely overwhelmed, completely like sensory overload, completely like the worst, like 2 seconds away from crying the whole day.
Oh,
So I
wow.
just wanted to get around and get out. And that would have been like that was like the worst. But like even those people, like I said, Rage and Bailey and I've known for years and years, and I trust them both. And even them, like I'm going up to them and they're looking at me like, "Are you sure you're okay?" Like because I'm just like so just keeping myself away from them and
Mm.
keeping myself very shut in and being like, no, I just need to go around everything. Just all
Does it
like
get worse
just
with stress and stuff like that? Is that
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because it's just I'm using all my brain cells are trying not to, go cry in the corner.
Yeah.
I also think that
Yeah.
my like, I never really considered myself an anxious person, but I think it's just got worse in more recent years. Although I don't think it's got worse, I think I've just allowed myself to feel things more.
Which is great to like
Yeah,
in the
it's I
long
think
period.
before it was not healthy or good for me, even though, like, I'd be better at masking, but now it's just like I'm allowed to be me. If I'm feeling anxious, everyone I know respects that. If I say, "No, no, I'm feeling a certain way,"
Mhm.
everyone respects that.
Yeah, as they should, which is great. Is that something that you've got to like prerequisite when you get into a new like romantic dynamic? Is just being like, look, be aware this is something that happens. It's going to take me a while to get to like warm up to your
Yep. Yep,
features
I
and
have to
stuff.
tell them all these things. I tell them all that, all the ADHD things, all the sensory overload, what to do in those situations, because, and I it's good to learn, and you
Hmm.
learn in every relationship. So, like, first relationships, I didn't understand it myself. So, I would have these situations where we'd argue loads and I'd be very annoyed at them. And I didn't understand my own brain. How are they going to understand it?
Hmm.
Like, if I'm really stressed, really overwhelmed, sensory overload, panic attack, whatever, they're not going to know how to deal with that. I don't know how to deal with it. I don't know what's going on. I used to be such a stress head, and handle it in the worst way. I had such a bad relationship with stress, and I would take it on other people, which is never fair. So every relationship, it's like I've learned more about myself. I've been to therapy. I'm learning more, and now I've got to a point where I feel like, and I think even my last partner, even though that didn't end that well, as in it didn't end badly. It's just that we're not like friends. It's just like a
Yeah,
regular relationship ending.
yeah, yeah.
Even they said that I was a really good communicator at that point, and I think that my current partner would agree. I'm very good at communicating. I can communicate what I'm feeling, and a lot of the time it is I don't know why I'm feeling this way, and or it's something where we don't see eye to eye because I know I take things very, very literally. So if you say something, I'm going to take it literally,
Hmm.
and that's something that not everyone is equipped to deal with or doesn't like. It takes some time for them to get used to it. So I always say I'm more than happy to keep explaining it. If it just is coming off weird to you, try and re-clarify, try and put it into different words. I explain all these not flaws, but these little so few quirks. I've got better at
Yeah.
communicating them and what to do with it and not getting annoyed at people when they
No,
so,
and
and I think we have a very healthy relationship with my current partner because he knows how to look after me and I can talk to him about anything.
that's really good. That's really encouraging as well. Like,
I
because I
just really want to hit home about I started in a very bad place and I was a terrible partner, terrible communicator, didn't understand myself at all, but have grown so much. And it's so nice when you can look back on like those types of things.
good, which is great. I mean, I
Mm.
am also the similar. I've only recently realized that I have some major like relationship based trauma from that's been going on for 10 years, and I was just like, oh wait a minute, oh hold on a minute, I'm freaking out about something I had no reason to freak out about. Why is that? Self analysis. Let's go. So is it something? So I'm assuming that you've always had this sort of like face blindness.
I also presume so. I have a terrible memory. I
Okay.
know I can't remember it well, but I know there was a point where I found out that not everyone had the same things going on in their brain as me because I always had a really, really bad memory,
Mhm.
really bad memory, and also the face blindness. But I never really spoke about it because I just thought it was normal. And then
'Cause why
I think it
wouldn't
wasn't
you?
until I was like quite a bit into adulthood before I was told otherwise.
So did that cause problems when you were like first getting sort of romantic interests and stuff like that? Like because of that miscommunication, they thought that you thought like them, and you thought that they thought like you. That
um, it's hard to say because there's also a lot of other things there. Because I know
hmm
when I was a teenager, I had I bought into all those really silly traits that you do as a teenager, where you have these very unrealistic expectations set by romantic films and stuff like that. And I would get annoyed that I wasn't being treated that way, or why could they not be doing this? Expecting them to like read my mind when they didn't really know me yet, stuff like that. So I just had a lot of like toxic things that I had to work through. But I think it's not so much toxic, it's more that you're just a dumb kid that hasn't had any relationship experience.
life
So
experience, yeah.
yeah, I'm just like not didn't really know much. So it's less about like stuff like that and more just like, "Oh, why are they not like this? Why are they not like that?" And not even questioning what I'm not doing in a relationship, for example, which I'm sure there was a lot. So the only things I don't remember a lot about my younger relationships, but I just think that I wasn't a good communicator and didn't know what I was doing.
I think that that's one of the things though,
Although
because
I
okay,
do remember my first partner, because if I
okay,
tell you this, you will just be like, I told someone else, another creator, this the other day, and they were like, "What?"
okay.
My first ever partner, his boyfriend, my first ever boyfriend, my first ever kiss. We didn't date very long, but they broke up with me when they found out I was Indian.
What?
Exactly.
What?
I didn't realize it was something I was supposed to keep a secret. Obviously, I'm not supposed to, but it's
What?
just such a that's such a like not funny. It's funny for me to look back on it 'cause it's me, but
Yeah.
obviously I wouldn't want anyone else laughing at it. But it's just kinda like a funny situation that my first ever relationship, I was so excited to be dating this person, I had a crush on them, and then they broke up with me when they found out that I was Indian.
That is, first of all, baffling. Second of all,
Oh, and
very
anyone
upsetting.
on the Twitch stream right now, I should also clarify. I was, I think a little bit darker back then, and obviously my hair was more my natural color.
Yeah.
So I didn't. I look a. I've always been white passing. Don't get me wrong, but I look a
Mhm.
lot more white passing now, and I always worry whether it's like because of my childhood experiences. But I don't know. That's another conversation for another day.
Okay.
But it's just that yeah, I did. It's not that I looked. I didn't look fully white British back then.
Yeah.
Um, so I didn't realize that it wasn't. I don't know. I don't know. They just
Well,
as soon as
it
they
was
find
one of
out,
those. It wasn't a secret, but it wasn't something that came up. And then when it did
it
come
wasn't
up, it
something I
was
even
yeah,
thought about. It wasn't something I thought like anyone would ever have a problem with because of the naivety of being a child and not really seeing that side of the world just yet. But
yeah.
yeah,
Fuck.
so that's probably one of the most like memorable experiences from my childhood. It's just of one of the people I dated. Most of the people I dated when I was younger, they're good people. Like
Yeah, yeah,
even now, I would happily go and like catch up, have a coffee with them if they wanted to. They were most of them were good people. It's just
that's
this one
great.
was a odd experience.
Yeah,
I
yeah, I
haven't
can
had that
imagine.
many really bad relationships.
Yeah,
I think it's
how
honestly
old were
just
you, if you don't mind me asking?
2. I was 12?
12. Okay.
12,
All
I
right.
think.
So it was sort of like playground relationship, as they say. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
That sort of well, whimsical. And
Yeah, but it's kinda
apparently
like
ingrained racism.
you think
Just
everything is like, when you're a teenager, everything is so much more I don't know, in your head, it feels exaggerated, like,
oh,
you feel
definitely.
like you're in love immediately, and you can't imagine ever being with anyone else, and then it's just like, "What just happened?"
Because you've got no point of comparison at that age. You've
Mm,
got like this
and
is your first love. You always and the first love always hurts the most because of the fact that you've
'cause you've
never
never had it
experienced anything. Yeah,
before.
yeah.
Yeah.
That is
What a way to
wild.
start.
That is absolutely wild.
Like I said, it only got better from there. I really have dated mostly wonderful people.
So what was it like? And again, I realize that I'm just so fascinated by it all because I'm such a visual person. Like when I think of things, I visualize absolutely everything, including faces and expressions and stuff like that. You were saying about the fact that you had a crush on this person. What was it like having a crush on somebody? I suppose you've never known any different,
Oh,
but Yeah.
Yeah, as I mentioned it slightly before the stream as well, where my crushes aren't necessarily the same as anyone else's because it's not
No.
like I mean, I can look at a picture of someone and be like, "Oh yeah, they are conventionally attractive." It's as if I've got this map of what a face should look like to be conventionally attractive.
Okay.
Like maybe they have good teeth, maybe like some nice shaped eyes, a nose that isn't too out there because people hate interesting noses for some reason. Like I've got like a map in my head of okay, so logically this is what people tend to find conventionally attractive. But I've never like looked at a celebrity and been like, oh, I have a genuine crush on this person, or like imagine them in any situation. Because obviously, if I imagine them in my head, it's not
Mhm.
really kind of like just a
I suppose it
blur of
yeah,
them.
yeah,
I've
yeah.
never met them. All of my crushes have only been people I've met in real life. And as I said before, I need to have that like romantic or I need that connection to be romantic or sexually attracted to someone anyway.
Mhm.
So I can't have a crush on someone until I met them a few times. It's always been that way round.
So it's the
And
crush on the emotional connection with them, that
yeah,
pansexual,
essentially.
demisexuality type thing.
Yeah, or it's just like something I like, and it could be well, I guess again, it's the connection where it's just like maybe we get on really well about this one specific like discussion topic we've had, or
Mm.
there's something there that I'm just like, oh, I like that. It's hard. It's just like I like this person or don't like this
Well,
person.
it's not
It's kind of
hard.
like a
I mean,
switch.
this is the thing that I find so interesting about it because realistically speaking, I'm sure there's many people in the world that would rather have like some element of that because they wouldn't have the focus on appearance. They wouldn't have the focus on they would genuinely look for that meaningful connection as opposed to the aesthetics of somebody because aesthetics at the end of the day, aesthetics always fail at the end of the day. When we're all old, we can age gracefully, but there is definitely a point that like where the age gets the better of our aesthetics, our looks, you know, and
Yeah, I don't know how to address this about looks anyway.
yeah,
Like, because I was not a particularly, I would not have fallen into conventionally attractive as a child. I
hmm
think that nowadays I scrape by a little bit. I'm not everyone's cup of tea, but that's okay. I'm not trying to be. Um, but I do also, I have been told a lot, especially with previous relationships. I've been told that someone because I'm dating someone who isn't conventionally attractive, and people have been very rude about that.
uh-huh.
And like, obviously, like they're guessing, oh, it must be because of this reason, it must be because of that. And for some reason, they never just like they never consider maybe it's just that we get on really well and that we like each
No,
other. And I really hate that. One thing I very much struggled with, even the partner that the content creator I dated for a while that ended up being a character and was a terrible person. Something that really hurt me a lot is I went into one of their friends' streams, and they were just like for longer than they should have. They were like, "Oh, this is this person's partner. Oh, you should go take a look at her because she is so pretty and like she is with this person and I don't get it at all." And like they went on for so long, so I was so uncomfortable at that because it's just to me you're insulting me
hmm
because you're insulting my taste because my taste isn't the same as your taste, but it's just like I don't want to sit here. I don't want it to come off like I'm offending the people I've dated by saying they're not conventionally attractive because I find them
well,
attractive, and obviously conventional attractive to me is a like machine thing, and it doesn't matter to me. But it's just I've had people tell me that someone isn't attractive and made me feel very awkward about it, and I really hate that.
well, this is the thing I've said quite a lot of times on my stream that we are all beautiful. Why? Because there's
Mm,
8.5 billion people in the world, and every single one of them has a different perception on what is beautiful. So
mm.
the fact you're not saying that anybody's unattractive. You're just saying that other people have opinions and they are very vocal with them. That's what you're
They're
saying.
just very uncomfortable and they shouldn't be said
Yeah,
because the fact is, someone finding someone else attractive is really nothing to do with you.
yeah.
Like, you shouldn't have your own you can make your own opinions about whether you find the people attractive, that whatever, but you shouldn't ever say that someone else should or shouldn't find someone else attractive. Because I get it the same with other people as well when they're, like, a really attractive celebrity, and I'm just like, "I don't get it." And they people again just like, "How can you not get it?" And it's just yeah, like, form your own opinions, that's fine. If they're mean, keep them to yourselves. You're gonna form those opinions anyway. It'd be
hmm
useless of me to sit here and say, "Stop." But just stop telling people how they should be feeling and stop judging people because they feel differently to you. It's just because you can put people in very awkward situations. Like I said, that made me feel very awkward, and that made my partner feel very insecure. And I think that was part of the reason they took a lot out on me later in the relationship
because of
because
that
a lot of
dynamic.
people had
Yeah,
said that. It wasn't
yeah,
just this one person, but the fact that this person was their friend, I feel like made it worse.
yeah, because you
And
would,
it's another content creator as well that they respected. So it's just like
yeah,
really awkward position to put me in.
you would think that they would be supportive of your friends. You think you would expect friends to be supportive of each other, and
Yeah. I honestly,
that's so
I find it, which is funny. I find it really nice. On the flip side, if you say something along the lines of like to a friend, and like say one of my partner's friends said to him, "Oh man, you did well. Oh, she's
mhm.
really pretty," or anything like that. That's fine in my opinion. I just don't want to hear like the negative bit, the
Yeah,
negative
it's about
aspect.
how you
Someone
phrase it.
isn't good enough for the other person. I
Yeah,
hate that.
like turning around and saying, "Hey, your partner is beautiful," is one thing. Turning around and saying you don't deserve this partner because you're ugly is the way. Yeah, I completely get that. I find it really irritating. I am also on that because I'm like, realistically speaking, who are we to judge? You know what I mean? So long as it's all between consenting adults, what the fuck does
Yes.
it matter? What the fuck does
Yeah.
it matter?
You don't even know, you never know what someone else is looking for, into what they're into, or anything like that. You just gotta stop, like I find it very obnoxious
Mhm.
when, and very entitled. They're the ones putting themselves in the middle and not considering that there are other viewpoints in the world. Like, stop putting yourself on a platform and realizing other people have their own opinions and what they like and what they don't like. It's not gonna match yours, and that's okay.
Yeah, 100%, completely and utterly. And what a bombshell to end on as well. I realize we've overrun ever so slightly, but that's fine. That's all
But
right.
it's good to end it on be nice to others. Everyone has different tastes. There's someone out there for everyone, or multiple people out there for
Yeah,
everyone, or no one out there.
depending on how
Personally.
you're feeling. Yeah,
Yeah.
and also on that, don't question your own taste. Like you are entitled to have those tastes, and again, as long as it's all between consenting adults, and you go
Mhm.
wild. You go have a wonderful time together. All right. Well, thanks so much, Soap, for joining me on the first episode of the Thirsty Work podcast. People, you can go over and follow my darling guest Soap on twitch.tv/Cadaea, which is Cadaea. Or you can also follow them on TikTok. I think it's
Yeah, I was
Cadaea on
gonna say
everything, isn't it?
it's Cadaea on TikTok, Cadaea on YouTube. It's Sophie Keen on Twitter, but that's not as important. But I haven't been streaming so much. I'm mostly TikTok at this point.
Mostly TikTok at this point, which is entirely fair. Apparently, my bot isn't working, but I'm going to do that. For those people that are watching this on YouTube and listening to the podcast, I'll obviously put the links in the description so you can all go and follow the wonderful Soap. Soap, thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for agreeing to be part of my harebrained shenanigans. I really appreciate it.
Thanks
And
for
yeah,
having me.
friends. Oh, it's been my
And
absolute
Billy,
pleasure. Oh, and Billy, is that the cat? The cat
the
is
cat.
the yawny cat.
It's Billi, which is Hindi for cat.
Oh, really? That's fascinating.
Mm.
I've got a friend who's got a dog called Cat. So
Oh.
that's always a fun one. That's always a fun one. Anyway, friends, thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for tuning in.